when your mental health is falling apart, but at least you have Ted.
Girl, you didn't have to tell us that your mental health was falling apart. The sequin Ted Bundy pillow was kind of a giveaway. I guess it's fitting that you tagged this referring to him as Teddy Bear, because like the children's toy of the same name, you're infantilizing a gruesome killer, one that wouldn't think twice in making you their next victim for no reason other than being in the wrong place at the wrong time. At least the kids with the teddies understand that no matter how friendly Winnie the Pooh seems while watching him on TV, the odds of being a Christopher Robin are slim to none. I suggest you take a look at both Bundy's surviving victims and kids who just get found after being lost in the woods to see just how traumatic it all is. Maybe then you'll face real life and stop living in your 100-acre fantasy land. Someone go get Piglet, because the roast has officially begun. Hey Girl Scout, what's shakin'? How have you been? I personally have been pretty alright. Been trying to find a great couple's costume for a blazing night to rock on the 31st. Spirit Halloween, here we come. Let me know what you guys are dressing up as this year down below. This is the time of year for all things scary, including slasher flicks, paranormal hunts, and haunted hayrides. It's no secret that true crime interest goes way up around this time, but it's a topic that's always discussed year-round. A fascination with the twisted minds of serial killers is understandable, and wanting to learn more of their story is relatively harmless. But some people take things way too far, and with the new series on Jeffrey Dahmer sweeping the internet off its feet, those who stand sociopathic murderers have really been doing what they can to make it clear that they aren't like other true crime fans. They genuinely love the bad boys, and this got me diving into the true crime community as a whole, where I uncovered a lot of weird flexes, disrespectful behavior, and honestly, just people treating these very real tragedies as a lighthearted story. I want to look into all of this with you guys and chat about it all, because I think it's a lot to unpack, and I think it goes well with the things that we talk about on the channel. So, enough chit chat, let's just jump right into things. Starting off light, to ease our way in before we touch on the stands, we'll start with a few questionable true crime community things. Nothing too hard.
I'll be using Amanda's video throughout my video so she can tell her own story in her own words. But before we start today, we have a sponsor, which is incredibly exciting. Today I'm
So unfortunately, the victim wasn't able to contact authorities to get help, leaving them as the 5th victim on the killer's record. It's tragic that her phone was out of service, and people always wonder what the outcome would have been had she been able to get through on the line. Luckily for you, you won't ever have to worry, because with today's sponsor AT&T, you'll always have a phone with great coverage, just in case your Tinder date turns a little too Ted Bundy on you. Proceeds will not be going towards the victim's charities, but at least giving me money to buy my own Tesla means I'll never get murdered by a psycho Uber driver, am I right? It's too bad the murderer wasn't subscribed to the channel, because maybe if he'd used last week's sponsor NordVPN, he totally wouldn't have been caught. At least you girlies watching never have to worry about the authorities tracking you down after looking up all these crimes, because there's still time to use my code HOMICIDEHOMIE for 55% off your first month. Be sure to support the channel and show that you like true crime by using my codes. Link in the description. Anyways, so yeah, it was really sad for the victim, and it's just disgusting that that happened. So let's continue the story.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Yeesh. Talk about disrespectful. Even adding in the yay sound effect to boot. God. It's one thing to have a sponsor on a video like that and use it to contribute to something good, like a charity for the victims. But to just cut the solemn mood and turn off the empathetic atmosphere to excitedly talk about your sponsor seems incredibly rude to me. Even with my phone example, you could totally incorporate that in a respectful way. Maybe highlighting it as a great safety tool for people, or talking about emergency options the phone company offers, and not placing blame on the victim for not having that tool in the moment. I get that YouTube's a job, and often we put on a different face at work than in real life, but if you're going to talk about true crime, I would think the last thing you'd want to do is make it look like an obvious surface level money grab and maybe seem like you actually care about the topic you're covering when it's that sensitive. I'm hoping the case is that this was their first sponsor and they just got super excited. I mean, I get it, that first email is really exciting, and even if the product or context doesn't feel 100% right for the channel, it can be so enticing or seem like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in the moment. But I mean, even then, you know, there's a time and place to make it about you. Going along with this one, there's this type of thing I keep seeing too.
Imagine you die a gruesome death and this is what people do.
Today, we're going to be talking about a really tragic case of a kidnapped child. Oh, there's my Taco Bell. One sec, guys. Look at this cheesy quesadilla. The fire sauce. Oh, I love the Doritos tacos. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, so a super sad kidnapping. And yeah, you can just see how the events really impacted the family negatively. The trial was really horrifying because, oh my god, guys, these cinnamon twists are to die for. No pun intended, I promise. You guys seriously need to go to Taco Bell, not sponsored, and get yourself some killer food. Okay, the joke was in bad taste, but these burritos are most definitely not. Wow, this feast is really just the star of the show today. Oh my god. Okay, let's get into the kidnapping. Oh my god, sorry. Oh my god, I'm so quirky.
I just smoked the wrong side of a cigarette! Who wants to go swimming? Oh, this song is about me!
I don't know, something about finding a way to take the focus off the tragedy by gorging yourself on food kind of screams ignorance to me. You don't have to be going through something to be able to at least begin to understand the severity of it. I truly think these people can't have experienced much of their own hardships if they think that this just isn't disrespectful, or they're super self-absorbed. I just couldn't imagine watching someone talk about really painful experiences that happened to me and my loved ones while plugging White Castle and switching between the story and how great the food tastes so seamlessly. It tells me that someone values food as much as or more than the story, and they either need help with food addiction or they need to stop using other people's tragedies for clicks if they truly don't care. Like, these are sensitive topics. This isn't just TikTok pranks or Reddit comments that you're talking about. I get appealing to a broader audience, reaching the mukbangers and the true crime gang, but I don't see this as anything but self-indulgence and gluttony, and I'm not talking about the food. What do you guys think? Is this disrespectful? Is there a proper way, if any, to get sponsors or do a mukbang when it comes to true crime? Let me know down below. Okay, we've eased into it, and I think it's time for the more shocking stuff, and it does get more shocking. I understand this is very sensitive stuff, so if you're not okay with the fan pages, the art, all of that stuff, if it's going to make you uncomfortable, please feel free to click off or get enraged with me, because that's exactly what I'm going to be doing for the rest of this video.
They're so cute.
The accompanying Tumblr post be like, imagine enemies to lovers edition. They have no feelings for anyone except one another. A killer pair. It's like an anime. The hard-shelled mysterious guy slowly has his exterior softened by the right person. Except it goes both ways. Enemies to lovers? Potential victims to partners in crime? If they had a grinder, they'd make the "aren't you afraid I'm a serial killer or something" joke when they plan who's gonna pick who up, and the other would say, impossible. What are the odds of two of us in the same car? And they'd both laugh and laugh looking back on it years later. They'd have such spicy dates, sharing their dangerous passion. I bet Teddy Bear would get so jealous when Jeffy talked about his crime so passionately. And Jeff would hold him and say he could just eat him up with how cute he's being, and that his heart was held hostage by him forever and always. Oh my god, if one got caught, the other would take the fall. Ugh, they're just such small beans. Oh my god, please adopt me, dads.
Conservatively, what percentage of our platform is porn? 9%? 90?
Yep, be right back, throwing up real quick. The jokes were mine, but the general ideas were things I got from going through way too many of these stan accounts, so please don't hate me too much. They were all calling them cutesy names and making them seem like these harmless little anime boys. It's disgusting. They did horrendous things, and they committed the acts they did purely out of self-interest. It just feels wrong to paint them like this. It's almost as though they're saying the right person could have changed them into empathetic people with feelings for other people, or that they deserve someone to love them even though they did these awful things. It minimizes their acts. It places blame on others for not being good enough to fix them. And honestly, adding some of their weapons in the images like they're teasing each other with them makes me actually feel numb. Those weapons ended people's lives. Any teasing done with them wasn't for the victim's enjoyment. It was for them to enjoy the trauma they placed onto other people. Two people bonding and falling in love over harming others does not deserve to be praised and romanticized. And I can assure you it isn't when you get off of Tumblr. Case in point, my home province of Ontario's infamous Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka case.
Why is there Columbine fan art? Oh, no, you heard me correctly. Yeah, no, you heard me right. Views of fans of Columbine Unalivers. I'm putting my face over the... but what? No. This is not a part of true crime. This is not. No. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my. Guys, okay. If you make merchandise, if you make fan art, if you make edits, if you make anything along those lines, that is not true crime. That is not learning. That is not being interested. That is an obsession. That is glorification, idolization, and romanticization. That is disgusting and it needs to stop.
What in the edgelord who brags about not being scared of killers but cries when they have to make their own doctor's appointment is this? I wonder if these kids are so detached from the situation because they've never dealt with trauma before. Maybe they really believe that they would have acted differently and earned the killer's respect. Or maybe they have gone through trauma and bullying and take the stance that it's the bully's fault. So they think that because they find these people attractive that they would have been able to stop this from happening by showing these people love. Or just maybe they're terrified of something happening to them because we live in a very twisted world, and this is what they try to convince themselves so that they can cope with that. I understand all of these potential motivations, but thinking that you're superior to the victims when you haven't been in that situation yourself, not acknowledging that the killers ultimately had control over their actions but chose to murder anyways, and not exploring those very valid fears within yourself all lead to a lot of backwards mindsets full of victim blaming and unhelpful coping skills. I guess at best, I can just hope that this will lead to them looking back and cringing when they grow up. Even this next one that I'm going to show you, I just genuinely think that a lot of these people don't understand the line between being interested in the story of a true crime case and it crossing into making it too much like a fandom of a TV show or something.
Help, I got too invested into the Dahmer series and I drew him.
Drawing fan art of these killers is wasted talent, honestly. You can see these people have artistic skills, but they should be using their passion to draw things that aren't going to make people discredit their skills because they're so disgusted with them. Maybe draw the trial to show what it looked like as a piece of history. Capture the beauty of the victims who didn't deserve their fate. Draw the unsettling darkness of these killers. Or draw anime ships of your favorite characters. Draw anatomically correct naked Squidward for all I care, but don't tarnish your art by making cutesy versions of awful people and implying that you see them in a positive light. Or do because it's your choice, but know you're going to get hate and your skills will not be acknowledged as much as they deserve because no one wants to get behind the art of someone who glorifies serial killers.
Why you should stop saying the Isla electric chair. 1. It's disrespectful and makes a lot of people sad. 2. Ted died on it, it hurts people. 3. It has a really upsetting story behind it. 4. It's so easy to stop saying it, just say Isla instead. If you wouldn't say the N-word, why would you say the Isla? If you are part of Ted Nation, you are allowed to use it if you want to.
Guys, stop using the A slur around me. You know, all you can eat buffet. It's disrespectful and makes a lot of people very sad. Like me, and gourmet chefs, and germaphobes who hate when little kids grab fistfuls of the mashed potatoes and their parents don't even punish them even though now they can't eat any. It has taken so many victims via food poisoning, and far too many toilets have been blown up directly due to them. If you've ever worked at the Golden Corral, you're obviously allowed to, but it's so easy not to say it. So if you wouldn't say any of the other slurs, then you definitely shouldn't say this one.
Shut the fuck up, no one cares about your robot fan fiction. Know your fucking place, trash.
Are these kids so desperate for an N-word pass that they make up their own slur and give themselves permission to use it? Notice how the other two words they mention are meant to be used towards someone as a descriptor, whereas electric chair, oh no, I said it, is literally a noun. It's not like people are calling a specific group of people electric chairs. Although I think calling convicted serial killers on death row electric chairs as some sort of derogatory dig would actually be pretty funny, but I digress. Even if Ted Bundy found it insulting, which these chronically online teens genuinely seem to think would hurt his feelings, it just doesn't make sense to me. Are they trying to argue that he had no control over his murders? Like being born a certain skin color or sexuality? And so he doesn't deserve to be subject to awful words meant to hurt him and others of that group? Because have I got news for these flower crown editing fangirls. He may not have had control over how he felt, but he sure as hell had the choice of whether or not he acted on his thoughts. He chose to destroy lives for his own selfish desires. As far as I'm concerned, he deserves to face the consequences of his actions and have hate thrown at him from all directions. Who knows? Maybe if you say electric chair 3 times in the mirror in the middle of the night, he'll appear. But let's not give those FaceTiming Dahmer at 3 a.m. he picked up not clickbait emotional channels any ideas here.
When everyone is freaking out about how morbid the new Dahmer show is. And you're just bummed they didn't show the actual morbid parts.
A little about me? Well, I'm not like other girls. I love serial killers and true crime. Not hearses and unicorns. Ugh. Like, other girls watch documentaries and get creeped out like wimps. And I rewatch the most disturbing parts so I can remember every single detail like a true fan. And all these other fake fans thinking because they call them hot and support them that they're even close to my level, they're wrong. Because if Jeffree were alive today, I know he'd pick me because I understand him better than anyone. I watched like 3 documentaries on him twice and Wikipedia'd his name. So I think I actually know more than like literally anyone else on the planet, including the cops on the case, the psychiatrists, the researchers for the documentaries, and Google itself. So yeah, anyone who thinks they're a true crime fan is just like not even worth listening to. Anyways, this is a fun first date. What about you? What are your interests? Hopefully not cheating, because obviously I know exactly where to bury your body and how to get away with it. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. Do you like golfing?
I'm very happy you were able to hang out tonight.
Me too.
Not that it's up to you to make me happy. Well, unless you find neediness sexy, in which case you're about to have dinner with the hottest man on the planet.
Weird flex, but okay. Don't know about you guys, but I'll happily take being like the majority of people who don't romanticize serial killers. I'll even admit to crying and leaving the room multiple times during the Luca Magnotta documentary because it creeped me out. And what do you know? Not one person apart from this TikToker has ever tried to make me feel like I'm not as special as others for sharing that similarity with millions of other people. And as I've said in previous Not Like Other Girls videos, if you think you're unique in liking something, you're probably wrong. Plenty of people seem to share your sick interest in making fan content of convicted killers. Let's roll the world's worst compilation I've ever seen in my life.
I don't care about the hate. Teddy would be so proud of Ted Nation since we're always keeping him in the media.
If you haven't already noticed, most of these people completely hide their identities when posting this stuff because they absolutely know what they're doing is not okay. They know people would alienate them out of disgust. They know they would likely get access to these outlets restricted and lose their online community that give them the attention they want, and that they'd probably be forced to actually face their negative feelings and coaxed into healthier coping avenues, which is a lot harder than hiding. I believe the majority of these are people who are very insecure and find any way they can to stand out and gain attention online, even if it's not in an appropriate way. I think they need help so that they don't begin empathizing with the bad guys so much that they begin to see themselves in them, because it's very important to recognize that it's not okay to take your feelings out on everybody else. All I can say is, you're unique and special because you're the only you out there. Don't base your worth on what others think of you or what you believe they'd think of you if they knew you, because your worth doesn't stem from their opinions. It stems from you and your talents and personality and view of yourself. It takes a lot of work to be able to think this way, but once you get there, life becomes so much better. Believe me, I've had to go through it myself. It just takes being brave and letting go of your negative coping crutches so that you can take the first steps up the hill. And yeah, climbing it kind of sucks, but then you get a great view at the top and some toned calves. Bonus. And then you're way stronger, so the next hill is way easier. You know, like metaphorically, challenges, life, all that. Maybe. Anyways, life lesson over. Just let's go on to the next TikTok.
So we're getting tattoos of serial killers now. Down below you have Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer is holding a brain and has his phrase, if you can't beat him, eat him. And Brittany here says that she doesn't condone the hostile crimes of serial killers by any means, that she's just simply intrigued as to why they do it. Well, Brittany, the answer is in the documentaries, is in the court case, is in their confessionals as to why they did it. Tattooing them on your body probably wasn't the way to figure out the answer. When Google and YouTube exist, and your justifications up here, it's not a riddle. It's just common sense. The difference between real and fictional is one is made up and one is real and actually caused real life trauma.
I thought I'd end on this one because it's kind of divided the internet a bit, and it's the opposite of hiding like the others I just talked about. As the TikTok says, this gal has multiple tattoos of serial killers, including one of Jeffrey Dahmer that has him holding a human brain saying, "If you can't beat him, eat him." She compares this to people getting horror movie killer tattoos and says that she doesn't support their actions but is just curious about them. In my opinion, it's super disrespectful. First of all, because comparing a serial killer tattoo to one of a fictional character diminishes the very real aspect of their crimes and turns it into just a story. And also because the attempt at a joke is just not funny. It's really just rude and insulting to the victims and the families. Being interested in watching true crime and wanting to learn more doesn't at all mean get tons of tattoos of murderers all over you with cutesy jokey quotes. That shows me someone who is very sheltered and someone who thinks liking serial killers makes them edgy and quirky. But alternatively, at the end of the day, it's legal, it's her own body, and she got a tattoo artist willing to do it. So I guess my real stance is that she's allowed, but it doesn't mean people are gonna like it. Meaning if she's allowed to get a tattoo, I'm just as allowed to say that she's empty of personality and chooses to downplay murder for both clout and as a superiority thing over people who show a justifiably disgusted reaction to these killers. What about you guys? What do you think? Tell me down below.
Hello?
Hello, Chad.
Who this?
I ask the questions here.
This Matt?
No. Tell me, Chad.
This Kelly?
No. Do you want to play a game?
Oh, no, thanks.
I wish that these self-proclaimed fans would understand that killers that show no remorse are not misunderstood. Their brains operate differently, and giving them attention and sympathy only feeds their ego and helps them justify their actions in their minds. These stans need to really get it through their heads that if they were around at the time of these crimes, these killers wouldn't think twice in making them a victim too. It's okay to acknowledge that they were attractive and that helped them gain their victim's trust, but going on and on making edits of how hot they are, using clips of them on trial at that's just disgusting, especially knowing that they're not innocent. You can feel a certain amount of sympathy for them for having a bad childhood or enduring trauma while not painting them as poor victims. They chose to commit horrendous crimes. Just because their lives were bad doesn't mean that they have the right to take away the lives of others, and victimizing them takes away from that. The victims didn't have a choice. Documentaries are made to share the story, to keep the story alive not for the killers, but for the victims who deserve to have their lives honored. Unfortunately, people see a hot guy or a famous actor and detach the story from real life. They think they're smarter or more likable than the victims. They think it's too rare to happen to them. And people can be selfish, seeing a lack of fear or an obsession over something morbid as a way to look cooler than their peers, at the expense of overlooking the impact on the victims. I think they need to realize putting them on a pedestal and giving them positive attention encourages those with those bad childhoods who have these impulses to go through with them, because they think girls like bad boys and that they'll get to live on forever with a massive Netflix series on them. I don't really know how to get through to them, or if it's even something that you bother with, knowing that they'll likely grow out of it when they become more grown and empathetic. Definitely let me know your thoughts on that below too. If you agree with what I'm saying and maybe you want more of these people to see this video, then please let the algorithm know by liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, whatever you can do. It genuinely helps push the video. I'm really hoping that this one gets connected to some true crime channel recommendations, because I think these are channels that some of these stans watch. Let me know what else you'd like to see me talk about down below, after answering my hundreds of questions throughout the video, of course. No self-promos today because I think that's inappropriate, so that's all from me. Hope you all have an amazing day, and I shall see you all in the next video. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Thanks for watching.